One of the most celebrated actors of his generation, Oscar winner and three-time Tony winner Mark Rylance is back on Broadway in Farinelli and the King, written by his longtime collaborator and wife, Claire Van Kampen. I sat down with the actor to talk about his Broadway return and what's on the horizon. Mark, thank you so much for coming here and doing this. How is it going over at the Belasco Theater, your Broadway home?
Oh yeah, I suppose it is, yeah. It's going really well, really well. Very warm audiences, and some of the cast go out at the beginning, you know, and talk with the audience, because we like to feel people to feel welcomed and feel they're in the same room with us. And they're meeting a lot of people coming back for the third or fourth or even fifth time.
Wow.
I mean, I say a lot, they're meeting some people who are doing that. But there's a very embracing feeling from the audience.
Well, once again, the audience is on stage with you, just like with your Shakespeare double bill. Mm-hmm. How does that affect you on stage? Because I feel like sometimes you're really getting some energy from the people who are on stage with you.
It's a bit like shooting a close-up and a wide shot at the same time in a film. So it keeps you on your toes, you know. You're aware that there are people very near as we are now, and there are people who are very far away. So you need to be real for both of those groups of people, kind of essential and simple for the people far away, and obviously loud enough and expressive enough, and true enough for the people up close.
How do you find your way into a character that's mad, that has mental illness?
It's not difficult for myself, but you say the things that are there to be said and do the things that are there to be done, and then you connect with those needs, those desires, and if you are a shy person, or if you're quite self-critical as I am, you immerse yourself in the person's needs.
How does it feel for you to be that close to such magnificent singing?
It shakes me. It actually physically shakes me, and one's reminded that sound is a penetrating force, that it can. There was old commercials where they shattered crystal glasses, a high note from a good singer. But it literally shakes the cells of my body, because the vibration is so intense. It's quite emotional, actually. It's quite an emotional feeling. Different than being on a roller coaster, but similar in some way. You feel you're having a physical sensation, as well as the tune being very beautiful and emotional. But you get, after many hundreds of performances, you get used to the tunes, even great tunes. Though actually still some of them move me, these are so beautiful. But what never loses its power is the actual vibration, and the reminder that we are all just made up of vibrating cells.
Do you relate to the King as an outsider? He's French. He's in Spain, and you grew up in America, but you're British, and then you went back. I'm wondering if there's any kind of personal relationship that you feel about that.
Yeah, my mother was always an outsider. She was always drawn to alternative and outside interests and causes and things like that, and I've inherited that from her. And you're right, maybe it was to do with us being emigrants and immigrants, and so. Yes, I was always aware that I was an Englishman in America when I lived in Milwaukee and up in Connecticut. And then, much to my surprise, when I went back to London, thinking I was going home to my homeland, I was very American. They considered me very American, and I had deep American attitudes. America is much more keen on new ideas. The English are wary of new ideas, that the old ideas have lasted so long because they're good ideas, why change them? But America feels part of its deep character, I think, is the embracement of progress and new ideas.
Do you feel in doing this play, which your wife wrote, and it's her first produced play, and it feels to me like it was a dream come true for her to have the play produced? Do you feel like you...
For anyone, huh?
Well, for anyone, really, yes. But to have your first play produced, and then on Broadway as well, and in the West End, that you got to experience this sort of journey together and do it together. Is that fun for you to do?
Yeah, we've always done that.
You're long-time collaborators, of course.
Yeah, we've been married 29 years now. And from the start, we were always thrilled by imagining different kind of theatrical events and going to the theatre, and then we've been lucky enough, and in those days we just made up our own things and lived hand to mouth to a certain degree, because our own things were not necessarily mainstream or popular, and so it's been an interesting progression towards finding people like Sonia Friedman, who supports our work so thoroughly, and building up our own experience and our knowledge and our attraction to reach more people with something that we consider beautiful or funny or fulfilling.
Speaking of reaching a lot of people, soon after Farinelli and the King ends its limited engagement, Ready Player One will open in theaters.
Oh yeah.
This couldn't be more different from Farinelli and the King, which has no amplification and candlelight and is very organic, and then you have this very computerized, very studio-heavy film. Tell me about working on that.
It has a lot of motion capture, which is, and Stephen, being one of the great classic American directors, can make a film like Bridge of Spies or like The Post, which is a very classic, traditional film in the form of Billy Wilder and all that kind of, with moving cameras and everything, quite classic and natural. But he's also very fascinated by technology and what can be done as we move towards simulation of life through technology.
You have an interesting history with Steven Spielberg, don't you? Where you were offered a film and turned it down a long time ago, and now you seem to be his go-to actor. You've done several things with him.
He has a number of go-to actors that he works with. I think Tom Hanks is much more has the rights to that title than I do. We've become very good friends. I love film. I haven't done so much film, but I've always gone to lots and lots of films. And so we have a shared love of old films and new films and all that. But yes, I did turn him down when I was 27.
And that led you to more theatre work, didn't it?
It was because it was a theatre project I was very
You were
keen to
deciding
do,
between.
yeah.
Tell me, how excited are you to return to Shakespeare's Globe and do Othello with Andre Holland this summer?
Very, very excited, particularly to work with Andre, who's just a wonderful actor and a lovely man. And I think it's going to be a very moving Othello.
Well, we have to get going, but before we do, what will you be doing on Oscar night this year?
I'm actually going to be playing Eiley Ball at the Belasco Theatre. There's a group of actors down doing a play called Hanged Man in New York at the moment, and one of them has been in a company with me before, and they're coming down to challenge us to an Eiley Ball tournament in the theatre, which is a game we play backstage.
So you'll just be cheering on your Dunkirk colleagues in your mind. You won't be watching the broadcast.
No, I don't think I'll be watching it now.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming in. You're wonderful in Farinelli and the King.
Thanks. Yeah, I think we have 4 weeks left, and it's a really unique, unusual piece. I've never been in anything like it before, and we're having a very nice time. The audience is really propelling us into more humour and more depths and experiences in the play. So we're having a very nice time with it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Good.